It is February 17th. Make sure we're live. We are live. Like I try to do every night, we're going to say the Lord's Prayer. If you don't know it, here's how to learn it. If you do know it, say it with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So, those of you that might be new, I made it to about May of last year, and I was going to make sure that I held myself accountable to do the Bible in a year. So, I'm glad you're here. If anyone else would like to join in, tell them to come subscribe, hang out with me for just a little bit. Normally takes about 15 to 20 minutes. I think tonight's going to be a little bit longer. 15 to 20 minutes, and let's get our Bible on. Tonight we're going to read from Leviticus 4:1 through 5:19, Mark 2:13, 3 through 6. Let's try it again. Mark 2:13, 3 and 6, and Psalms 36, 1 through 12, and Proverbs 10 through 4. 10:4, excuse me. Let me look at that real quick, Mark, make sure that's right. Yeah, Mark 2:13, 3 and 6. Okay, here we go. Leviticus 4:1 through 5:19, February 17th. God spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites when a person sins unintentionally by straying from any of God's commands, breaking what must not be broken. If it's the anointed priest who sings and so brings guilt on the people, he is to bring a bull without deficit to God as an absolution offering for the sin he has committed. Have him bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meetings in the presence of God. Lay his hand on the bull's head and slaughter the bull before God. He is then to take some of the bull's blood, bring it into the tent of the meeting, dip his finger into the blood, and sprinkle some of it 7 times before God, before the curtain of the sanctuary. He is to smear some of the blood on the horns of the altar of fragrant incense before God, which is in the tent of the meeting. He is to pour the rest of the bull's blood out at the base of the altar of the whole burnt offering. At the entrance of the tent of the meeting, he is to remove all the fat from the bull of the absolute offering, the fat which covers and it's connected to its entrails, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is around them at the loins, and the lobe of the liver, which he takes out along with the kidneys. The same procedure as when the fat is removed. From the belly of the peace offering, from the bull of the peace offering, finally he is to burn all that is on the altar of burnt offering. Everything else, the bull's hide, meat, head, legs, organs, and guts, he is to take outside the camp and to a clean place where the ashes are dumped, and is to be burned in a wood fire. So I think yesterday we went through goats and sheep and lambs and everything else, and it's under redundant. So apparently we have the same theme again going on tonight. In the whole congregation sins unintentionally be strayed from one of the commandments of God that must not be broken. They become guilty, even no one is aware of it. When they do become aware of the sin they committed, the congregation must bring a bull as an absolute offering and present it to the tent of the meeting. The elders of the congregation will lay their hands on the bull's head in the presence of God. The one of them will slaughter it before God. The anointed priest will bring some of the blood into the tent of the meeting, dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle some of it 7 times before God in front of the curtain. He will smear some of the blood on the horns of the altar, which is before God in the tent of the meeting, and pour the rest of it at the base of the altar of whole burnt offering. At the entrance of the tent of the meeting, he will remove all the fat and burn it on the altar. He will follow the same procedure with this bull as the bull from the absolution offering. The priest makes atonement for them, and they are forgiven. Then they will take the bull outside the camp and burn it just as they burned the first bull. It's the absolution offering for the congregation. When a ruler sins unintentionally by straying from one of the commands of God, which must not be broken, he is guilty. When he becomes aware of the sin he has committed, he must bring a goat for his offering, a male without any defect, lay his hand on the head of the goat, and slaughter it in the place where they slaughter the whole burnt offering. in the presence of God. It's an abomination, absolution offering, excuse me. The priest will then take some of the blood of the absolution offering from his finger and smear it on the horns of the altar and the whole burnt offering, and pour the rest at the base of the altar. He will burn all its fat on the altar, and the same for the fat on the peace offering. The priest makes atonement for him in the account of the sins, and he's forgiven. When an ordinary member of the congregation sins unintentionally, straying from one of the commandments of God, which must not be broken, he is guilty. When he is made aware of his sin, he shall bring a goat, female without a defect, and offer it for his sin. Lay his hand on the head of the absolute offering and slaughter it in the place with the whole burnt offering. The priest will take some of its blood and with his finger and smear it on the horns of the altar of the whole burnt offering, and pour the rest of the base on the altar. Finally, he'll take out all the fat, the same as the peace offerings, and burn it on the altar for a pleasing fragrance to God. In this way, the priest makes atonement for him, and he is forgiven. If he brings a lamb for an absolute offering, he shall present a female without any defect, lay his hand on the head of the absolute offering, and slaughter it in the same place they slaughtered the whole burnt offering. The priest will take some of the blood of the absolution offering with his finger, smear it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and pour the rest at the base of the altar. He shall remove all the fat, the same as the lamb of the peace offering. Finally, the priest will burn it on the altar, on the top of the gifts of God. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him on account for his sin, and he's forgiven. God, I know there's a reason for this, but it's really, really redundant, and I'm not getting it at the moment. So hopefully there's clarification. I'm trying to have patience with it. I'm not going to say I can see why people don't follow through and read it from front to back, because it has been a goal, but I don't remember going through this last year. If you sin by not stepping up and offering yourself as a witness to something you've heard or seen in cases of wrongdoing, you'll be held responsible. Or if you touch anything ritually unclean, like a carcass of an unclean animal, wild or domestic, or a dead reptile, and you weren't aware of it at the time, but you're contaminated and you're guilty. If you touch human uncleanliness as any sort of ritually contaminating uncleanliness, and you're not aware of it at the time, but you later realize that you are guilty. Or if you impulsively swear to do something, whether good or bad, some rash oath that just pops out, and you aren't aware of what you've done at the time, but you later come to realize it, you're guilty in any of these cases. When you are guilty, immediately confess the sin that you've committed and bring as your penalty to God for the sin you have committed a female lamb or a goat with the flock of an absolution offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement for his sins. If you can't afford a lamb, bring as your penalty to God the sin that you have committed: 2 doves or 2 pigeons, one for the absolution offering and the other for the whole burnt offering. Bring them to the priest, who will first offer the one for the absolution offering. He'll wring its neck and not sever it. Splash some of the blood on the absolution offering against the altar and squeeze the rest of it out at the base. It's an absolution offering. He'll then take the second bird and offer it as a whole burnt offering, following the procedure step by step. In this way, the priest will make atonement for your sin, and you're forgiven. If you can't afford the 2 doves or pigeons, bring 2 quarts of fine flour for your absolution offering. Don't put oil or incense on it. It's an absolution offering. Bring it to the priest, and he'll take a handful from it as a memorial and burn it on the altar with the gifts of God. It's an absolution offering. The priest will make atonement for you and for any of the sins you've committed, and you're forgiven. The rest of the offering belongs to the priest, the same as with the grain offering. God spoke to Moses, when a person betrays his trust and knowingly sins by straying against any of the holy things of God, he is to bring as his penalty to God a ram without a defect from the flock. The value of the ram assessed in shekels, according to the sanctuary, a shekel for a compensation offering. He is to make an additional compensation for the sin he has committed against any holy thing. He added 20% to the ram and giving it to the priest. Thus the priest will make an atonement for him, and the ram of the compensation offering, and he's forgiven. If anyone sins by breaking any of the commandments of God, which must not be broken, but without being aware of it at the time, the moment he does realize his guilt, he is held responsible. He is to bring to the priest a ram without any defect, assessed at the value of the compensation offering. Thus the priest will make atonement for him for his error, and he was unaware of good Lord. Thus the priest will make atonement for him for his error that he was unaware of, and he's forgiven. It's on again. I'll be right with you, Josh. It's a compensation offering, and he's surely guilty before God. Good Lord, that was rough, brother. Because we're not stubborn and we need things repeated so often, man, I guess that has to be the case because that's under redundancy, redundant kind of thing. Find the ways to wiggle out of punishment because we don't do it exactly that way. It's crazy sometimes, isn't it? So I'm hoping that Leviticus doesn't get too carried away doing this. I'm going to have to look through the next couple of verses, chapters, and just to see what we're going through because I don't know how much more of that I can take. Leviticus 4:1 through 5:19 says the section teaches responsibility for sin, especially unintentional sin. God shows that ignorance doesn't remove accountability, but he also provides a clear path for forgiveness. Confession, restitution, and sacrifice restore relationship. Bottom line is God is holy. Sin matters, but grace is available when you own it. So I guess before Jesus being alive, dying on the cross, raising from the dead 3 days later, this is the way they had to atone for their sins. I guess that's the part that makes sense. There's got to be a better way to explain it, though. It's not so redundant, but that's just me. Mark 2:13, 3 and 6. Then Jesus went again to walk alongside the lake. Again, a crowd came to him, and he taught them. Scrolling along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, at his work collecting taxes. Jesus said, "Come along with me." He came. Later, Jesus and his disciples were at a home having supper with a collection of disputable guests. Unlikely, as it seems, more than a few of them had become followers. The religion scholars and Pharisees saw him keeping this kind of company and lit into the disciples. What kind of example is this, acting cozy with these misfits? Jesus, overhearing, shot back, "Who needs a doctor, the healthy or the sick? If here I'm here inviting the sin sick, not the spiritual fit." Ouch. The disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees made a practice of fasting. Some people confronted Jesus. Why do the followers in John and the Pharisees take to the disciples of fasting, but your followers don't? And Josh wants to ask you how your fasting's going, by the way. Jesus said, when you're celebrating a wedding, you don't skimp on the cake and wine, you feast. Later you may need to pull in your belt, but not now. As long as the bride and groom are with you, you have a good time. No one throws cold water on a friendly bonfire. This is kingdom come. He went on, no one cuts up a fine silk scarf to patch old work clothes. You want fabrics that match, and you don't put your wine in cracked bottles. On Sabbath day, he was walking through a field of ripe grain, and his disciples made a path. They pulled off heads of grain. Pharisees told them to look. The Pharisees told on them to Jesus. Look at your disciples are breaking Sabbath rules. Jesus said, really? Haven't you ever heard? Haven't you ever read that when what David did when he was hungry, also with those who were with him, how he entered the sanctuary and ate fresh bread off the altar, and the chief priest Abiathar right there was watching, holy bread that no one but priests were allowed to eat, and handed it out to his companions. Then Jesus said, "The Sabbath was made to serve us. We weren't made to serve the Sabbath. The Son of Man is no yes man to the Sabbath. He's in charge." Then he went back into the meeting place where he found a man with a crippled hand. The Pharisees had their eyes on Jesus to see if he would heal him. Hoping to catch him on a Sabbath violation, he said to the man with the crippled hand, "Stand here where we can see you." Then he spoke to the people. What kind of action suits the Sabbath best? Doing good or doing evil? Helping people or leaving them helpless? No one said a word. He looked them in the eye, one after another, angry now, furious at their hard-nosed religion. He said to the man, "Hold out your hand." He held it out, and it was as good as new. The Pharisees got out of there fast as they could, sputtering about how they would join forces with Herod's followers and ruin him. Mark 2:13, 3 and 6 says Jesus calls Matthew, eats with sinners, challenges religious legalism, and heals on the Sabbath. The message is clear: mercy over rules, people over tradition. Religion wants control, Jesus wants freedom. When hearts get hard, even miracles won't convince them. Religion wants control, Jesus wants freedom. Ouch, that's good. Mm. Psalms 36, 1 through 12. The God rebel tunes in to sedition, all ears eager to sin. He has no regard for God. He stands insolent before him. He has smooth talked himself into believing that this evil will never be noticed. Words gutter from his mouth. Dishwater dirty. Can't remember when he did anything decent. Every time he goes to bed, fathers he fathers another evil plot. When he's loose on the streets, nobody's safe. He plays with fire and doesn't care who gets burnt. God's love is meteoric. His loyalty is astronomic. His purpose is titanic. His verdicts are oceanic. Yet, in his largeness, nothing gets lost. Not a man, not a mouse slips through the cracks. How exquisite your love, O God! How eager you are to run under how eager we are to run under your wings, to eat our fill at the banquet you spread, as you fill our tankards with Eden spring water. Your fountain of cascading light. You are a fountain of cascading light, and you open our eyes to light. Keep on loving your friends. Do your work in welcoming hearts. Don't let the bullies kick me around. The moral midgets slap me down. Send the upstarts sprawling flat on their faces in the mud. Breakdown of Psalms 36, 1 through 12 says the Psalms contrasts human wickedness with God's overwhelming love and faithfulness. Evil flows from self centered hearts, but God's mercy is vast, protective, and life giving. Real security isn't in power or pride, it's staying under God's covering. Ouch. Proverbs 10:4. Sloth makes you poor, diligence brings wealth. Breakdown of Proverbs 10:4 says lazy hands lead to poverty, diligent hands bring provision. This isn't just about money, it's about stewardship and disciple. God honors consistent effort. Faith doesn't replace work, it fuels it. Faith doesn't replace work, it refuels it. That's good. Only made it 24 hours and I forgot about the weekend plans with the wife. We planned it at 8 a.m. on the 24th. Hey, brother, I get it. So you told me you were on your fast. I was going to start mine last week and I waited till Monday. So today is day 2. I am almost 48 hours in with just water. Just drinking my water. I will make it 13 days, I think is my goal this time. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days will be the 28th to the end of the month. So here's to fasting for 13 days, water only. And if no one told you today, I love you. Joshua, thank you for being on, buddy. Yeah, my record's 12. So, and it's not a bragging thing. It's I honestly could have went longer last time, but I think the missus and I went to Outback Steakhouse and she was wanting some of the cheesy fries and I got a salad. So put some chicken on it and broke my fast with a salad and some chicken. So you guys have a good night and I love you. I love you. I love you. We'll see you tomorrow and behave. Thanks.